If you've been told that you need to give up alcohol, burgers, and your social life to lose weight, I'm sorry, but that's actually working against you. Because for most busy dads, the problem is not one burger on a Saturday night, and it's not one scotch with your friends, and it's not enjoying takeout with your family. The real problem is what happens around those moments. The unstructured week, the random snacking, the lack of portion control, the skipped meals, the poor sleep, and then the all or nothing mindset that turns one social meal into a blown weekend. I'm Andrew Jacks, founder of Six Pack Dad, and we've coached over 550 professional dads lose their belly, and I've lived this myself for over 25 years while running a global business and raising 3 kids. And in this video, I'm going to show you how busy dads can lose the belly fat without giving up the foods, the drinks, and the weekends that they actually enjoy. And later, I'm going to show you how one dad handled a full camping weekend with beers and barbecue consumed, and he still got a result that surprised him using this method. So there's 3 things that you need to understand. First, why restriction eventually breaks for busy dads. And second, the 90-10 rule that lets you keep making progress while still enjoying the meals and the drinks that you love. And thirdly, how to plan around those meals so one social night doesn't turn into a blown weekend. So let's start with the sustainability test. Before we get into the how, I want you to think honestly about every diet or weight loss approach that you've ever tried. Not whether it worked, whether it actually lasted. Because most of the dads that I work with, they've lost weight before. They might have tried keto, cut the carbs, dropped the alcohol for a month, tried counting calories. The weight may have came off, they felt good, and then something came up like a camping trip or a friend's birthday, or they went away on a holiday and they just blew it all, and then the weight came back on. Here's what that tells you. The actual approach, it worked. However, the sustainability portion of it didn't. Because any weight loss plan that requires you to actually remove the things that make your life enjoyable is not a plan built for your life, the real life of a busy dad. It's a plan built for someone else's life, one without camping trips, without the Friday night drinks, or without family dinners and community and the social gatherings that keep you sane and enabling you to enjoy life. The real question that you have to ask about any approach is not that, does this work for me? It is, can I still do this when real life shows up, in order to be consistent with it? Because real life always shows up, and then weekends happen every week. For some, they could be traveling for work quite frequently. And if your plan can't survive those moments, it was never going to last long term. So I want you to understand, if it only works when life is perfect, including your routine and everything's fully lined up, it's never going to work at all, because that is not reality. Stick around, because in a moment I'm going to show you the exact rule that I used with every client that makes all of this work without you having to feel sorry for yourself through every occasion. The second thing we need to go over is the 90-10 rule. This is the single most practical thing that I teach, and it's the reason the men that I work with are actually able to get results without feeling like they're being punished. I consistently myself eat clean throughout the week. I have healthy, nutrient-dense meals. I have the right portions at the right time. I eat with purpose, right? Not out of comfort, not out of boredom or stress, right? I have adequate water. And then on the weekend, I can just relax a bit, enjoy some food and drink that I normally wouldn't have during the week. For example, I love barbecue. So it could be having a smash burger, which my kids actually prefer over McDonald's. Tick for me. Or some brisket. I love smoking meat, and I do it on my smoker. And that is quite a fatty meat, but there's allowance for that. Or I have some scotch too. I enjoy scotch on the weekend, and I can have it without feeling guilty, because it's actually planned for. It's factored into my week. And then when Monday morning comes, I'm straight back to my structure. I've been doing this for over 25 years, and as a result, my weight has not deviated. And most guys, as soon as they get married, their weight starts to plummet up. The rule is simple. 90% of the time, you eat lean, you eat the right portions at the right times, no unnecessary snacking, and then 10% of the time, you have got that allowance for what I call a reward or a reset meal, which means 1 or 2 times a week, you get to have a meal where you enjoy anything that you want without restriction. As long as you don't overdo the portions, it's fine. That way, it gives you something to look forward to during the week. And we don't like to classify it as a cheat day or a cheat meal, because if it's cheating, it means it's not planned for. But you have to make sure the 90% is in place for you to have that 10%. And when you get to your goal weight, the ratio shifts from 80 to 20. There's a little bit more flexibility built in because you have your weight under control, and the goal changes from fat loss to maintenance. And you're no longer trying to create the same level of deficit. You're trying to hold on to the actual result. The reason this works is because it removes the all or nothing thinking that destroys most weight loss attempts. One burger doesn't make you unhealthy. A decade of unstructured eating does though. It doesn't mean you can be loose every weekend. It's just permission to stop treating one enjoyable meal like a failure. So make sure you plan it in. One reward or reset meal, it doesn't undo your progress, but one abandoned plan does. The third point, plan around the pleasure. Knowing that you can have a reward or reset meal is one thing. Knowing how to structure the rest of your day around it so the weight keeps moving is what separates the men who get the results from the men who use the 90-10 rule as an excuse to eat whatever they want every weekend. One of my clients, Chris, he recently went on a camping trip with his mates midway through our program, and he told me that he had some beers around the fire, he had some barbecued meats and some snacks, and he came back from that trip having not derailed the progress at all. And he actually got results still, positive results from it, which I'll reveal very shortly. The key is planning around those events so that way you're still making progress. If you don't factor that in, this doesn't work for you. So first, create room, do not starve. If you know dinner is going to be bigger, keep your breakfast and lunch leaner and simpler. Don't skip everything and arrive starving. That can usually backfire because you end up overeating and you have to try and have some extra level of self-control and discipline. Secondly, reset at the next meal. Not Monday, not after the weekend, the next meal. That's where most men either stay in control or they let one meal become 3 days and they say, stuff it, I'll start again on Monday. And then they've just lost all that progress they've made during the week. And thirdly, move around the event. A walk in the morning, more steps that day, something simple. Just try and burn some calories. Keep active. Don't just sit down all day. You don't have to punish yourself. Just keep moving the body. Going for a 30-minute walk is simple as that, or even 15 minutes. And if the weight stops moving, you need to look honestly at the balance. Either the reward meals are happening more than once or twice a week, or you're overdoing it, okay? There might even be other habits working against you underneath it all, things that you're not aware of. It might be lack of water intake, lack of sleep, not managing your stress properly, or your meal timing that's quietly adding up in the background. That's usually where the real problem is hiding. So my client, Chris, he's 53 years old. He's a father of 3. He came to me the same way a lot of dads do, having tried several diets in the last 12 years, not understanding why the weight kept coming back. And honestly, he was a bit skeptical that, he's tried everything. Is anything going to actually work for me? Is it just me? Or is it I'm not doing the right thing? Partway through his program, when he went on that camping trip, where he had beers and barbecue around the campfire, he didn't skip all that stuff and he didn't stress about it. He just applied what we had built together and he came back to his structure and habit afterwards. As a result, within the first 5 weeks, he's lost 10.7 kilos or 23.5 pounds and almost 5 inches off his waist. And it wasn't by removing things he enjoyed, just by having that structure that we built. That's what the habit sustainability formula does. It doesn't ask you to become someone you're not. It builds a framework around who you already are with your lifestyle, so that way the weight comes off and it stays off without your life feeling like a punishment. God gave us good things to enjoy. He wants us to enjoy food with the family, time with your friends, and that revolves around food because those things are not the enemy of your health. Enjoying them without any wisdom or structure actually is. As it says in Ecclesiastes 3:13, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their labor. This is the gift of God. You're probably someone that works pretty hard. You take care of your family, you try and provide for them, okay? God wants you to enjoy all this within a level of balance. So make sure you apply the right balance so that way you can keep showing up well for your family, for the people that need you, to be in the best state of health possible, to have as much energy as possible, to be present with them, and to be the best role model for them as a father. So if today's video shifted how you see things, the logical next step is understanding exactly which of the daily habits are working against you and how to fix them without giving up the life you enjoy. That's why I wrote my book. It's called Ditch the Dad Fat. What it does is walks you through all the 7 steps of my habit sustainability formula, the daily habits that busy dads need to address in order for them to lose weight sustainably and keep it off for good. Meal structure, portions, managing your alcohol, hydration, sleep, it's all in there. Okay, it's all very basic. It won't take you long to go through. I've made it quick and easy. And it's free. If you want access to that, just click the link in the description. It'll take you to a website where you can access that book for free. It's typically on Amazon for $27, but for you, you can have it for nothing. So please remember, the men who transform and actually keep the transformation are not the ones with the most willpower. They're the ones who build a structure that they can live inside of. And then eventually it just becomes automatic and it just happens. Just like it has for me over the last 25 years. But there is one mistake that I do see busy dads make all the time when they try and lose the belly fat. They start eating less and less, and they start thinking that will fix everything, but it doesn't. And that's what keeps them stuck. So if you watch this next video, it'll show you why eating less can actually make your belly fat harder to shift and what you need to do instead. Click that video now. And remember, look after yourself so you can look after your family.